On this week's episode, we have Chef Alice Waters. I want to share a few quotes from two of her many awards that summarize our conversation today. She believes that the table is a place where we learn who we are and that the simple act of feeding children good food is an act of justice. She has changed the way America eats, not with grand gestures, but with simple, revolutionary ideas. Cook with what's in season, know your farmer, teach children where food comes from. In our conversation, she discusses seasonality for taste, health, and climate. And now to our inspiring conversation with Alice. Hello and welcome to the podcast Eat Better Food Today. I'm your host, Ken Cunahan, and I'm excited to be sharing insights on why we believe that health and longevity begins with the food we eat. The goal of this podcast will be to inspire, educate, and enable folks to live a healthier life and do it affordably. My wife and I have been on this journey for over 11 years and continue to work on it every single day. Percent of the profits from this podcast through our foundation, Santee, will be put towards child hunger, with an initial focus on the poorest suburb in America, East Cleveland, Ohio. As a reminder, please subscribe to, review, and rate this podcast. Your support keeps this podcast alive and well. Our sponsor is Cleveland Kitchen. Think of Cleveland Kitchen as providing easy gut health with their fermented foods, which means better brain health with just 2 forkfuls a day. On this episode, we're grateful to have Alice Waters. Alice is considered the founder, the mother of farm-to-table movement in the U.S. She has championed sustainable, local, and organic food since returning from France and opening Chez Panisse in 1971. With a focus on children, she created Edible Schoolyard, which celebrated its 30th anniversary this year. Edible Schoolyard is now in all 50 states and 75 countries. So, welcome, Alice. Very excited to have the opportunity to talk to you in person. My first question I always ask for my podcast here is about food, of course, and what you had for breakfast this morning.
What did I have for breakfast
this
morning?
I think it's important to start the day right, so that's my first question.
Well, I'm here at UMass, and I just had this incredible dinner in my honor last night, and I wasn't sure that I could even eat any breakfast today. But I went down because I have really been impressed with the food that they're serving here for students. And I thought that we might have the little Korean breakfast like yesterday. But it turned out that the restaurant's closed on Sunday. But there was somebody who was a cook in the kitchen. He said, I'll make you breakfast.
Nice.
And make you some scrambled eggs and some toast like you like. And I'll bring it to you. So you sit over there at that table. And I'll bring it. I was so touched by that. And then I have my Pu'erh tea that I bring with me wherever I go. And I make my tea. Mm-hmm. Because a couple of years ago, I had very high cholesterol, I should say 7 years ago. And I asked everybody what I should do. And I heard about eating whole grains, of course, but people recommended this Chinese tea called Pu'erh. And so I decided that I would stop drinking my cafe au lait and eating my croissant. And I started eating a different breakfast with that dark black tea and eating food that kind of went with it. Mm-hmm. More like scrambled eggs or nothing sweet. And in 3 months, my cholesterol went down 300 points.
Wow.
I was startled I was really...
We both have high cholesterol. That's why we're looking at each other. So.
No, I didn't know. But I carry it with me wherever I go. And I've never even thought about cafe au lait anymore. And I just sort of changed my routine in my life.
That's okay to do.
Yeah.
So because we were talking, I have some questions here, but I mean, you were talking about what UMass is doing, so maybe talk a little bit about what, I want to talk about that, and then you talked about Miami, because I think that kind of helps.
Yeah, well, I'm just very impressed that the main people of this college, the chancellor, the head of food service, all the cooks that I've met, really understand about local and organic food. And it's not all the way there, but they're absolutely looking to purchase their food directly from these farmers. And so I think in these next couple of years, they're really going to succeed. And it's such an impressively important college. And I love this food conference that they have, chef's conference. I was surprised that I was invited. I had come here once before, maybe 8 or 10 years ago. And I recognized a lot of the people that were still here, but the garden that I saw in its infancy has grown into this beautiful place. It's just a small garden, not their big garden, but a small place that just is beautiful. It's not only about vegetables, it's about art and the signage, the roses. But I was so charmed to be there again. And to really feel like there's a sense of diversity around food, too. Lots of people bringing ideas from other countries that are not only nutritious, but delicious.
So why is it, I mean, you and I understand, but just explain why that's important. Why it's important to do local, why it's important to have local gardens, organic food.
Well, it's important for all kinds of reasons. Obviously, the ones that come first to mind, climate change. Because I know regenerative organic ag pulls the carbon down up in the air and puts it into the ground where it belongs. And it's important for our own health, no question about that. But it's important that food becomes a way of gathering families together again, friends together, and most important, students together. Because I remember even in kindergarten in New Jersey, we all had to sit down at the table and eat whatever we were having. It didn't taste very good, but we had to eat it. And my parents at home, when I grew up, and sort of the victory garden they had from the war, I mean, we had to eat all of our food because we were concerned about people in India that didn't have enough. We couldn't waste anything. And so we had to sit at the table until we finished. Sadly, my mother wasn't a great cook, but she did can the apples from our tree and make great applesauce. And she listened to Carlton Frederick. I think that was the preacher on the radio about wheat germ. And she got wheat germ, and I had to take vitamins, but also eat brown bread. And it was the time of Wonder Bread.
Ah, yes, wonderful.
And everybody wanted white bread, all
Yes.
my friends.
Yeah.
And I had to have these brown bread sandwiches. And I know that I didn't eat them really and wanted to have bites of my friends' sandwiches, but it left some deep impression about what was nourishing for us and what was not. And my mother sort of kept that her whole life. And my parents obviously came to Chez Panisse. But they had a victory garden when they moved to Chicago and when they moved to LA, and ultimately when my father moved to the UC in Berkeley. And they always kept that garden. Not just because they liked the taste, but because it made the food affordable. And it's something I really think about so much. Why isn't everybody digging up the front lawn and making a victory garden? Because it really impressed me as a little child growing up that way to eat strawberries and tomatoes just picked. And I have never tasted any as good as New Jersey strawberries and tomatoes, those little tomatoes. Really, I haven't. And I'm sure it's about humidity. It's like going to a place where the pears are considered remarkable because of the weather or the humidity, whatever, or the varietal that's been chosen. And you just remember that taste for the rest of your life. And that is what I wanted when I went to France. I had that taste. And that's what I wanted to have at Chez Panisse. And it wasn't until I found the farmers.
Nice. Why? So one of the things that we're getting involved in, so I actually started a foundation because as I've been doing these interviews, like UC or you mentioned Miami, and even where Kim teaches at school, you can come sit over here if you want to instead of sitting over there. So where she teaches, they have access and they have resources to create gardens or to get good food, but there's a neighborhood outside of Cleveland, East Cleveland, Ohio. It's a very poor neighborhood, so they don't have access to kind of what we're talking about. So I think it's what you're saying. It is important if you can do more local and get things even in urban areas, get gardens so they have access, can experience what you're talking about.
Absolutely, but I have to use both Chez Panisse, which is in its 53rd year, and the Edible Schoolyard project, which I started 30 years ago, as examples of if you do this with integrity, and it's about seasonality, only serving food that's locally in season and ripe.
Yes.
That people will come, they will pay that money. But what happened at the Edible Schoolyard is the students really had that experience. And it all came from my Montessori training that I had in 1968 in London, where I learned that our senses are the pathways into our minds. And the Montessori, as a doctor in Italy in the 1880s, discovered that we needed to, she wondered why children who lived in poverty and hunger could not learn like other children. And she discovered that it was the senses that were feeding the mind. And so I just thought, what a great thing this is. And, because food touches all of those.
Yes.
You're looking at the beauty of it. You're smelling it. You're putting it in your mouth. Sometimes you're listening to it sizzle on the stove, or you almost are listening to it growing. And it's like it has that magic that it's going right into your brain. And I loved that idea. And when the principal of this middle school in Berkeley called me up because he thought I might be able to beautify a school by making a garden, he heard that I was a great fan of farmers. And I was fascinated because it was a huge school. Martin Luther King Middle School had 800 students, middle school kids.
Wow.
6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And they spoke 22 different languages at home. I didn't know that when I went there, but I didn't know it would be a great test case. But of course, when I saw the huge space of the school, it was built in 1921 on 17 acres of land.
Wow.
Much of it was taken by the city and turned into something else, but it still had a lot of acreage and one vacant lot which was full of junk. And I said, oh, I want a garden classroom there. And then I saw a bungalow, one of those portable kind. I said, we'll make a kitchen classroom there, and we'll teach all the academic subjects in these classrooms, like Montessori would have done. And Neil Smith, the principal, said, I'll give you a call. And I was quite shocked when he called me 6 months later. And I said, Neil, you know, this is all or nothing. And he said, it's all. And I just enlisted every friend and artist and farmer and to come and help to work on this project. And they all came. And we created the first teacher, happened to be an artist who loved food but was not trained as a teacher. She loved children. And I said, Neil, I'm going to have to hire her. He said, you do what you like. So I hired this wonderful woman, Esther Cook, and she created this beautiful classroom that had 3 tables for 10 kids at each table, and she put flowers on them every day, and she created a room that was organized in that Montessori way where every kid knew where to put things back. And she had art on the walls, and immediately it became desirable. And so the actual teacher of geography would bring her students into the classroom in the kitchen, and they would be studying maybe one of those countries that had hummus and pita bread. They'd be making it.
Nice.
And they never forgot on their tests about that terrain, that place where the ingredients were grown. And it worked like a charm. It really did. Every country, these kids wanted to go to Japan when they were rolling their own sushi. But I was really surprised by, and you'll see if you come and visit, we always invite visitors, and we have a training that happens every year at the end of the school year for people around the world. But there is something that is kind of magic from my point of view to see teenage kids helping each other, one, picking up crumbs on the floor, putting the tablecloth down for the meal to be served, to washing the dishes. It's like, it's so surprising. And that's what has led to the replication of this idea around the world. It's in over 5,000 schools now that are doing some version of this and are part of our network. But I know that it works, that children are almost longing for a way to feel like they can both cook, they can take care of animals in the garden, like chickens, they can help, and baby chicks. They know the names, of all the chickens that lay the brown eggs and the blue eggs. It's not like school, I dare say. That idea that you're looking at a blackboard and doing math out of a book. It's just this Montessori.
Well, and they get to travel the world based on the food
That's exactly
that
right.
they're eating.
And because it is universal, both farming and eating. And it's why I think we have to focus on the schools making the big change globally to address climate, to address our values, to address, really, democracy is at the table. Everybody gets a chance to speak, to eat the same food, to share together, to clean up. It's what it's about.
Yeah.
And it's understanding, I think also, just learning how to feed yourself well at an early age, to know what it means, is missing. And it's really making us all sick.
It is making us all sick because we're eating the unhealthy foods and chronic diseases are up, obesity's up. But if you have a program like you're talking about.
But I wouldn't have never fallen for healthy foods if they cooked them like my mother did. No, it was healthy foods. I love olive oil. I never really have butter unless, maybe I'm making a cake for my daughter's birthday once a year. But I just don't think about butter. I'm an olive oil person. And I love garlic. And we know that garlic is as good as 10 mothers, as we say, as Les Blank said, or as the proverb from China says. But I just feel like when we talk about health, everybody turns off. I don't want to know about that. I don't want to talk about health. I just want to serve it. And it just happens that dipping your salad in a little vinaigrette just tastes delicious. And that's how I learned, really, in France, to eat salads with abandon. And I found also there were desserts, but they were never big. It was never like we would think of dessert. It was very often a piece of fruit, and that's when I fell in love with wild strawberries. I just think that that's what our fruit bowl at Chez Panisse is all about. And there isn't a child who doesn't want to eat every fruit in that bowl. There isn't. And it's almost as simple as cutting up an apple. It's formidable when you just get this big apple. But all it takes is a knife. And it's that kind of connection. And even planting an apple tree in your backyard, picking it off yourself and eating it.
Well, my mother didn't like to cook, but luckily my grandmother and my great-grandmother loved to cook. So that's pretty much the food that we had in our house.
Well, that's beautiful that that's what happened to you, but that's of another generation.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I know I've given that to my daughter, and she's giving it to my granddaughter, and her generation of friends, I'm really hopeful, because not only are men wanting to take care of children, but they're also wanting to cook.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really pleased to see that happening, because it helps you really identify with the pressure that's on the mother, not only to take care of the child, but to cook. And it's why people I know are grabbing to-go food, having things delivered, because they can't possibly handle it.
Yeah, I usually ask this at the end, but since you're talking about it now,
Yeah.
so to get people to stop going through drive-thrus, it's convenient. People think it's inexpensive, but it still takes time. You still have to get in a car. You still have to
That's
wait
right.
in line,
Yes.
pick up the food, and it's not inexpensive anymore. For a family of four, it's $25, $30
Yeah.
to go through a drive-thru. So what's one of your favorite go-to recipes that's easy to make, has a few ingredients?
Well, salad vinaigrette, for sure.
Okay.
And for kids, I always, again, let them dip it in the vinaigrette. Don't do that for them. Cut it in pieces and let them do that little part of it. And sometimes I make a little aioli, which is easy to do, a little mayonnaise with garlic in it. They love that too. But, simplicity is really where it's at with children, that they don't like a lot of tastes of things at once. And so I might find a piece of fish, not strong tasting, but whatever, again, is fresh and of the moment. And I probably would take the skin off and have it in a little piece that's bite-sized. Maybe have something that's wilted with it, like a spinach or something that they, maybe a little butter, maybe. But I would use my olive oil again. But cooking for me is not really concocting a lot. And I love the whole grains that are available right now. They're so much more tasty. I think there isn't, if they were blindfolded, a kid, if you served a whole grain pasta, they would eat that absolutely if they didn't notice that it was slightly colored brown. But it's not strongly flavored, especially fresh pasta. And I just think it's so important to introduce again food that is easy to understand. And then I would take them shopping at the farmer's market with me, see what they go for. There's not a kid that doesn't like tomatoes, or little tomatoes, or cherries that are all different colors, or there are certain foods that are just obvious, but that are organic and seasonal again, that's where the real taste is, and the conversion happens.
See, and we've gotten used to, I think that's very important, the whole local thing, that it tastes, it's better for you and it tastes better. If you're buying blueberries in December in the northeast part of the country that's shipped in from Chile, they don't taste like blueberries.
No, they don't if you have a blueberry mental taste. Sometimes people think they do because they haven't had the real thing. And that's why we need to really introduce the idea of seasonality. You can even put it on your calendar and say, cherry's coming, or apple's time. And to see all the varietals, from very big red ones to little tiny yellow ones to green ones to striped ones, to going to a farm, I think for a kid is one of the greatest experiences. To run around, see the animals, be out there. It's very important. I mean, I didn't do that so much as a kid, but we certainly went to zoos and saw animals and what they were eating. And I don't know, I was always aware of the seasons because of New Jersey. And my mother would take us with my aunt for a drive to see the trees. I know the names of all the trees in the fall and in the spring in New Jersey because we'd take a drive. But we played outside every day from the end of school till dinner was ready. And I'm climbing trees or whatever it was, and riding our bikes. So it's very shocking to have kids on the screen after school, watching things, being indoctrinated in that way, instead of having the real experience. But I think with the change in food comes a change in the way the teaching happens in a school. I mean, I just love the spirit of the school because of, I mean, this event is a big special chef's event, and I'm sure they're doing a lot of extra things. But there's a feeling about the staff that is, I mean, I'm not seeing a lot of young students, but I just love the greeting that people are giving to one another. And do you want to go see this? And this is open, and I want to show you this part of the campus, which is in a lockdown campus with you got to call the principal's office to get in. We never had that. Ever.
No, we didn't.
And to be worried about that encourages people to be afraid. And that's why I'm just hoping to have some very big events at the university, like I experienced in 1964. I was one of probably 5,000 students in the Sproul Plaza anti-war free speech rally. And I felt like I was making a difference, stopping the war in Vietnam, civil rights. And I mean, I just felt empowered by this huge group. And then to have Mario Savio with his brilliant speeches, the leader who said education needs to be global. You need to learn about other countries. You need to take classes. Don't decide your major until the end. We want to find something that you love to do. And don't take all classes in one thing. And he said, only take classes from people who were part of the free speech. So I took Beethoven's symphonies and astronomy and medieval English literature. And then I took his advice when he said, take your junior year off. And I went to France, and the rest is history. But it changed my life. That gathering, the power of gathering, but also the taste of France when it was a slow food nation. I mean, parents came home to eat lunch with their kids at that time. People waited in line for 20 minutes to get a loaf of a baguette. I mean, students, restaurants were so affordable, and you got to eat the menu that they chose. And that's how I began my whole education and taste.
Some of that still exists today there. I mean, they're still very food focused. There's still a lot of...
I would say yes. I mean, it's harder to find, obviously, like it is everywhere, food that is organic. And so the restaurants in Paris and Rome and London are not plentiful. They're still there. Some of my friends are still there. And the American Academy in Rome, which I helped to change the food, has become really an activist food organization, certainly about climate. And it's such a great example of the education that I'm talking about, where they bring scholars in every field to meet each other at the table, as well as to do their studies there. And it was meant way back in the 1880s. It was a group of people that went to the World's Fair in architecture. And they learned so much from people around the world. And they said, oh God, we need to have a place for Americans to learn. And it was the time of the Carnegies and their money. And someone said, hey, would you open an American Academy in Rome? And the Carnegies opened this amazing building. The architects designed it on 17 acres of land on the highest hill in Rome. Looks down on the Vatican, but it had an old villa that was part of it. And they beautifully designed the spaces where everybody lived with a courtyard in the middle. And just an amazing small kitchen, but we enlarged that. And a beautiful dining room with a fireplace. But it's an example of what education can be in that best Montessori way. And I have just loved going back there. And you're welcome to go.
And you said you're going to change the food there?
Well, I did.
You did?
15 years ago. They said, hey, it was Adele Chatfield Taylor who called me up and said, would you come? And nobody wants to eat here. And of course, that's how the people get to know each other. So I went and I said, if I can find a chef. And I found a chef who had worked at Chez, Mona Talbot, and she came to Rome and she created the whole kitchen like she would at Chez Panisse. And their first farmer just happened to be a regenerative farmer, and he wanted all of the leftover compostable food from the academy. And even there was a garden, an organic garden at one of the monasteries, and they made bread and they brought the bread up, carried the bread up to the academy. But it has, over the years, and that was about 17 years ago, I guess, we did that. And it's just, everyone comes to lunch. Everyone comes to dinner. And it's what it's about. And every day you read with different people. And it's quite impressive. And people can go and visit it and really feel and eat what it's about.
See, and if people start following kind of what you're saying, eating together, but growing more organic, regenerative food, the farmers need to get paid a little bit better. Chefs, in my opinion,
well, the one thing that's really important is to leave out the middleman. And that's what we did with Bob Kennard, because he wanted all of our compostable scraps. And he brought down a truck of food for us and took back all of the compost. And he got all of the money. There was nobody in the middle. The Cisco didn't exist. And we did that, we put the word out that that's what we were doing. And we found people, including Boss Masamoto and his peaches, all over Northern California that wanted to sell to us because we gave them the real cost. So that's what I'm talking about.
That's like that orange farmer.
Yeah, so we went and met Anna Knight after we
Yes.
met her in D.C.,
Yes.
and then I went and we actually interviewed her
Oh,
in
that's
L.A.
beautiful.
Yeah.
But that's the
Yeah.
kind of thing that can happen. The school loves it.
Yep.
She loves it.
Yep.
And she gets paid the real cost.
Yes.
And our farmer just made a film, a part of a film that was made about Chez Panisse and my book to her around We Are What We Eat. And they filmed our farmer looking right at the camera saying, I couldn't do the work that I love, take care of my farm workers, if I didn't have Chez Panisse paying me for everything that they get and paying me the real cost. And they take what I have, everything. And I was just so impressed that he felt that way, because it's invaluable to us what we get from him.
See, and you're basically taking what he provides and you're making your menu based
That's
on
right.
what he...
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And yeah, I said, you know, I love radicchios. Well, his father would only plant one or two. This year, he had almost 15 colors. Every color, stripy, yellow. It went on. I couldn't believe it. Every day we could have a radicchio salad. There was different colors. And I mean, that's a thrill for me. It's like I couldn't have that myself going out and going to a farmer's market or 3 farmers markets to find anything close to that. And to have it, bring it back to the restaurant. It's a gift to me to have him talking to the chefs in the morning. I'm sending this down.
So you've accomplished a lot, and you've won a lot of awards. What would you still like to do?
Well, I still would like a model of this idea of school-supported agriculture, an impressive model that could go across the country and around the world. And it's why I think a place like the University of California is poised to do that. But there are probably other places that are ready to do that too. I was just in England, and I know that King Charles has a foundation that is about farm to school. I know that slow food is in 180 countries, and I don't know every country what is happening. But I know about places like Hawaii that are really trying to plant organic local food. And then we have Japan that has always been in this place of health, and I really listen to what they are saying about all food. And I don't know, I think there are a lot of people, countries that are small enough and could, I mean, that have come to the climate event in New York City that have expressed this need for farmers to have help, and school purchasing could be that way that this could happen and educate the next generation about the value of the farmer.
So we're actually, there's a food hub in Cleveland. So he works with 65 organic farmers kind of in Northeast Ohio. And I actually just connected him with her school because they're going to now start making 70% of the food in her school. They're an Edible Schoolyard.
A scratch kitchen.
A scratch kitchen.
Great.
Starting next year.
Well, be sure you document it.
Okay.
Be sure you do, because we need to see it. And seeing is believing. No, but you really need to see it. You need, I mean, if I hadn't been here to talk with the cooks, to have their enthusiasm about the eggs that I was eating, I wouldn't have quite believed it.
Yeah.
It was their enthusiasm that really, I was sure.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because right now our lunches are not that great.
Well, take a look at what they're doing here, because I know it's all food that has to be prepared quickly and easily and in this climate. And they just have a number of cooks that are from other countries and who've really got it down. And we need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So excited to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, she's like, you were talking about that middle school. In her school, it's not. It's
So our middle school is 160, but our entire student body is 750.
yeah.
Well, it's a great size to work with,
Yeah.
because we do, we have 500 a day, we do approximately. And we do that with one main farm and a number of other farms and fruit separately. But it's not a lot of farms you need for that number.
Yeah.
It's, and because it's seasonal, you need different ones.
Right. So we'll see.
There are still people out there that say you cannot feed the world the way you're talking about. You need industrial farming. You can't have just small farmers.
I don't believe that. I just don't believe that. I believe that if you have, X amount of space, you can feed your family. I mean, you can. I mean, you just, it's free food.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's got a little space between the sidewalk and the street.
I mean, our daughter does it every summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that's great is that there are still the pamphlets from World War II victory gardens available at the library in D.C. and also at the Henry Ford, which is trying to do a whole thing with the property next to the museum. Have you been there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She used to take her kids
Okay,
up,
well,
yeah.
they have a school that's part of that, and they are buying all organic food for that school and those kids. And they're buying food from a garden that is rehabilitating people who have been in jail.
Okay.
And they took me to the garden, and it just made me cry. Not only, that's how I started the Edible Schoolyard, because somebody said there was a garden in a jail, and would we buy it for Chez Panisse? And I said yes, and she said, well, you have to go.
Aren't you interviewing someone?
Yeah, I'm actually, there's a called Grafton Correctional Institute in Ohio that I'm going to be interviewing. They do the same thing. They have a garden and they actually supply.
Well, it was great, but that's why I started the Edible Schoolyard. But to see these, just young kids, basically, just so proud of everything that they were selling to the school, made me just so happy. They were completely found their profession. And to have the school at that Henry Ford property,
I didn't know about
predictably buying it. It made me think that schools could support all of these various therapeutic garden projects around the country. And I mean, what a way to sort of gain respect for rehabilitation, understanding of what it is to be in jail. That's like, there's a garden down in Santa Cruz that is for people, again, homeless, and they are completely really rehabilitated working in the garden. And some of the students from Santa Cruz come and help out. And it's just, why are we thinking of rehabilitation instead of making people resentful, more resentful? Being in a jail is horrifying.
Well, this jail outside of Cleveland is trying to do the same thing.
Oh, well,
And
great.
Great. They're feeding, basically it's a homeless shelter that they're providing fresh fruits and vegetables for in Cleveland. So.
Okay.
Right.
Well,
Well, thank you very much for taking the time, for seeing us, and for
thank
everything
you guys
you
for
do.
taking the time. Now I'm listening to me shout and scream. No, I just feel sure that, we need the solution right now. Just an aside, or maybe not, is, do you know how much money the B of A has to spend on mitigation of climate between right now and 2030? Yes.
I don't know, 4 trillion?
Oh, you're up there. 1.6.
Okay.
And I just thought, how great giving loans or whatever it is. Maybe this is a great way for the University of California, some institution, to get the money to begin right tomorrow. Because, wow, that's a considerable amount of money.
Unless it gets clawed back.
Yeah.
But
I found out what a trillion was. I didn't know it. A billion billions. No one, when I've asked that question, has ever said that.
well, because it's either we're going to pay it in more healthcare costs, we're going to pay it in more insurance costs. We're going to pay, I mean,
yes.
it's
so obvious.
yeah, it is.
It's
but-
so obvious.
Yeah.
But we are
there is
not
no cost.
getting it.
Yeah,
What do we
yeah.
have to do?
Right.
How many more tornadoes?
Right.
What the New York Times did at that, they put together all of their films from around the world, that I couldn't even watch it. Of every horrifying thing that's gone on in the last year around climate. And it's inevitable. And we think we know better than nature. And we're just part of nature. They don't know.
Nature's teaching us a lesson right
That's
now.
right.
Oh, she's giving us no food, no food. Well, anyway.
Well, thank you.
As I mentioned a few minutes ago, my sponsor is Cleveland Kitchen, the leader in fresh fermented foods. Try Cleveland Kitchen's crunchy and delicious krauts, kimchi, and pickles, packed with probiotics to support your gut health while elevating your meals from ordinary to extraordinary. Cleveland Kitchen, where taste meets wellness. Find it in the produce or deli section of your local grocery store, or visit clevelandkitchen.com for more information. And please follow the show every week where you listen to podcasts or on YouTube. Leave comments below or on my website, Eat Better Food Today.